We are here on a Friday night so that you understand why you are here on a Friday night. This is not to delay your pass. This is not because where we just thought we could fit it in. We realize that you are heading into the weekend, and that is where there's going to be less staff. That is where the wheels are more likely to come off of your sobriety early on. So you have hired me and the staff at Good Landing Recovery and everybody that you see that you know that works here to be able to serve you. So we work for you to be able to bring our very best to show you the way out of active addiction. And so I tell you that because I want you to be able to change your relationship with authority. You know, a lot of times, you kind of look up here, and if you're anything like I had a shirt that I was going to wear tonight that said, "Not a cop," okay? Not that I have any problems with law enforcement, but in the life that we have chosen, or in some ways the life that chose us, if you were genetically predisposed, then we have this very, what's the word? Jaded for sure, but we typically don't have a good relationship with authority because the things that we like to do, people that are typically in authority don't like what we are doing, right? So if we want to do dope, we don't like blue lights. We see blue lights, we get PTSD. We see cops, there's all this stuff that we don't really have like a good relationship with authority, and even teachers and stuff like that. So, sometimes I remember out of the 10 treatment centers that I went to is that I would be in there and this common language that would be said, like back in the, where we would stay, is that they're trying to brainwash us. Like, I don't want to be, I'm like, and it's really bizarre that we would come into a place after destroying our lives, and then we would think that the staff is like somehow trying to like steal the very best of who we are or wash that away. But if you change your perspective and realize that this platform is not to lord over you, but it's the best vantage point to be able to serve you, to be able to give you information that if we believe that if you will run the play, that it will translate to success at a very high level in your life. And so whenever you start to look at it that way, like if some guy just randomly walks up to me in the gym and is like, "Hey, you're not bench pressing right," or you're not doing that. I'm be like, "Bro, like, dude, get away from me. Like, why are you even talking to me?" You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I'm doing. But if I go and formally hire a trainer and vet them and realize, like, okay, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, then whenever he's telling me what to do, that I know that I'm going to reap the benefits of that, right? And so hopefully that you understand at this point that you have hired us and that we are up here, not for our benefit, though I do benefit from it, but for your benefit, and that either you or your insurance or your family has paid us money because we are a tried and true program that puts out proven results week after week after week, and that hopefully now that you realize that we work for you and you've hired us, and that's a completely different relationship than you trying to think like, "Oh man, this guy's just coming in here, talking down at me or trying to brainwash me," even though I could argue that you do need some brainwashing, but that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but it does help with the perspective, right? I mean, what we're fighting for in this area of addiction is we are fighting for perspective, right? Like whenever you display let's call it addict behavior, right? So your behavioral health benefits, like I'm not like, "Oh man, there's the addict behavior, let's go hit it with some penicillin." You know what I'm saying? Like there's that bacterial infection, like let's go hit it with, like that's not how it works. Like what we've got to go and do at this point is then see the behavior, point out the behavior, right? So that you can pivot off of the behavior and then display a new skill, okay? So that is how this thing works. And so we are going to try to give you the very best to be able to give you perspective to show you that what you've been doing for so long, it might be comfortable to you, but it's not getting the results that you want, right? Okay, maybe being a hothead, back whenever you were in high school served you well. And you could go around and people were scared of you, and maybe they would give you some money to stay away from them, or, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was used to your benefit, and then you realize, man, that same skill set that you're still now trying to apply in your 35-year-old body, you know what I'm saying, has people polarizing from you. That it repels people. Nobody wants to hire you. I mean, people might tolerate you for a minute, but in reality, nobody likes you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just it. And so now what we're trying to do is to put you into an environment. This is a controlled environment. We pulled you out of life. We've slowed down the tempo so that you can reset, and then we can deliver you information in a way that you can receive it without having all of these variables in play that are going to prevent you from being able to do it, right? Because I don't doubt that there's a lack of sincerity in the room. You just weren't in the environment to be able to execute. I mean, most of you didn't show up here still wondering, like, man, is doing drugs serving me well? None of y'all are here with, like, are drugs good or bad? You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point in your life, hopefully, you are fully convinced that drugs are bad, okay? You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you're not still trying to, like, weigh out the fact, sure, you can argue whether or not there's, medical purposes for marijuana or something like that, but at the end of the day, you should be fully convinced that drugs mixed into your life is an epic disaster, okay? So you should not need to be convinced of that anymore, but your inability to execute off that truth out in the free world, if you will, should show you that now that you are in here, what we're trying to do is to be able to give you this information, and that if you will run the play, that it's going to create a life for you that you're going to be very proud of. And that's why we're here. We're in the same way, we're in the same team, in the same place. I'm just one guy that figured this thing out a few years before you did, and so I want to come back and to offer you my experience and my strength and my hope and how I beat this thing so that you can know the way out. And I'm certainly not perfect by any stretch, and I don't want anybody ever believing that I am. And what's so amazing about that is because I remember hearing speakers, come and talk, and I don't think they intentionally did it, but when you're trying to give a presentation, you're not typically going to get up and shoot yourself in the foot or talk about, this isn't necessarily the stage that somebody wants to get up and be like, oh man, guess what? I cussed out 3 people today. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm up here in front of you and I'm about to talk about Jesus. Nobody's gonna, is gonna want to, it's like Facebook, right? Everybody gets so fed up with Facebook, but the reality is, it's what do you think I'm gonna show on Facebook? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take 47 pictures, and whichever one looks the best, that's the one's going up with the filter or whatever it is. And you should know that's not real life. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna put the fight, whatever. Just all the crazy stuff up there. You're putting your best foot forward. But the reality is that's not real life. I'm not perfect. I do get mad. I do have a mugshot that I wish wasn't that recent. God, all your parents are like, God, where have I put my kids? And that's, that's the tension of all of this. But there's obviously some things with the using and the stuff that's going to take you back that you absolutely can't miss on. And that's what we've got to get right, And you're going to be in flux, and you're going to be in transition, and you're not going to get this thing perfect from the jump. And guess what? Whenever you have 12 years, you're still not going to get it perfect. And when you're picking up your 20-year coin and everybody thinks that you're the freaking sage running around the recovery meeting, you're still not going to be perfect, even though everybody's going to think that you are. And even whenever you have the good lanyard around your neck and everybody's going to be looking at you like you're the mystical, spiritual, whatever to show them the way out, they ain't perfect either. Okay? So enjoy where you're at. Take this season of life very, very seriously. And we're here to serve you. We're here to help you. I want to bring up a friend of mine right now. And it's one of my favorite recovery stories, one of my favorite Good Landing success stories. He doesn't remember this, but I'm going to tell it anyway because it's my favorite thing to do in the intro, is that, so David Hobbs is getting ready to come up and share with you guys, and he does business development for us, but he came into Good Landing years ago, anyway, I'm not even going to share all that. I'll let him tell that. But Hobbs and I go back probably 25 years where we were getting high, and we're from the same town of Clarksville, Mississippi. It's got a population of like 13,000 people now. And Hobbs and I were both doing meth, and I don't know, I think I had a hotel room with, there was a bunch of us in there getting high or whatever, and Hobbs stole a 1/4 gram of methamphetamines from me, okay? And meth is really cheap now. It was not cheap back then, and it was $100 a gram. It was $25 for a 1/4 gram, and Hobbs is still not paying me back my $25, and I'm not. And I'm working through that resentment right now. And I cannot get HR to take that out of his check. They feel like that's not legal. I don't know. But seriously, this is what I will say. I have never come across anybody. First of all, he's one and done. Okay, so to go one treatment center, I mean, this guy, I don't know how many years of uninterrupted drug use, 25, 30, I don't know, of uninterrupted drug use. Did not have the example in his family that, when people come in and they got, mom and dad love Jesus and they're praying for him, you know what I'm saying? That's an incredible advantage, that certain people have. And, Hobbs comes in with really coming from, a mom that's amazing, a grandmother that was amazing, but some other areas that didn't really kind of like fit the nuclear family that you would have thought would have bred success the first time in treatment. And I've watched him come in this thing. I'm talking pack it up, leave, going back to get, every possible thing that you could have thought that was going to be a disaster. And yet Hobbs has not once relapsed, and he's just gone up and to the right in his life. And I just couldn't be prouder. I couldn't be more grateful for somebody that I get to do life with, and consider him not only just a high-level, hard-working, just relentless team member at Good Landing that I get the privilege to work with, but also consider him a friend and a brother. So without further ado, the legend, Captain. Love you, dude.
Hello. What's up, guys? How we doing? All right, so I'm gonna tell a little bit of my story, how I grew up, and just kind of tell you guys, the bad parts and my success story. So, like Trey said, I'm from a small town in Mississippi, and my addiction started around 15, but like really, I was born into addiction. Like one of my earliest memories, I don't know how old I was, maybe 4, 5, walking into my parents' room. My dad had this, I don't know, it's like a wood cigar box or something. They wasn't at home, and I opened it up, and it was some Joe rolling papers, marijuana, and a bag of cocaine, right? Dad's always been in addiction, and toxic household. He was a bad alcoholic for many, many years, violent toward my mom. I remember I was 14, it was Christmas Eve. I come home from a party, I was drunk or whatever. My mom's been at home crying over my dad the whole time. Dad comes home and starts throwing stuff at her. I go in, me and my dad get in a fist fight. I move out when I'm 14, right? Snow on the ground. I lived in Lyon, Mississippi. Obviously y'all don't know where that is, but it's like, 4 or 5 miles from Clarksdale. I'll walk to town in shorts, t-shirt, and flip-flops. Moved out when I'm 14, right? And I was just an angry kid, man. I hated my home life. I had all different types of friends, friends with money, friends without money. I always felt second class, worthless, like something was wrong with me. So, when I was 15, I started selling pills, started selling marijuana, and I wanted to try every single thing I could to numb out from my reality, my home life. I was angry, fought a lot. I got kicked out of school for fighting, and it just went on from there, First time I did methamphetamine, it was New Year's Eve of 2001. Liked it, and back then, like Trey knows, we started making meth and all that stuff that came along with that, and just went to jail many, many times. I remember in 2013, I moved to New Orleans, right? And I got in some trouble down there, then moved back to Mississippi. Bounty hunters came to Mississippi. In case you didn't know about Louisiana, they're still under Napoleonic law. They will come get you. I'm just saying, they will send bounty hunters to come get you. That's no joke. Bounty hunters came to Mississippi, picked me up, took me back. So I was like, yeah, you'll be in jail about 2 days, go to court, you'll be out, it's fine. I go in, I'm in an orange jumpsuit and cuffs, going in court, and the bail bondsman's over there like this, talking to the judge. I'm like, this ain't gonna be good, The judge gave me a $50,000 cash bond and set my court date for 4 months down the road. So I was locked up in Angola in Louisiana for 4 months. One of the top 10 worst places to be locked up at. It is not nice, right? That didn't stop anything. When I got out, went right back to what I was doing, same people I was hanging out with. And one of the, like, just to kind of, my mindset now, right? Like, I got almost 7 years clean, all this, got a great life. One of the things I'm still, appreciate that. Like, one of the things that I'm still having trouble with is, in addiction, I hurt so many people. I sacrificed so much time. Like, if I would have got it right many, many years ago, what would my life look like now, right? But obviously, God didn't put me through those situations. I put myself through them, right? I'm the one that hurt the people that I hurt, right? Like, obviously, addiction played a large part in that, but, like, it was still me that done it, But I feel like the Lord will throw pebbles on your life, right? Creating a ripple. I ignored those, and the rocks get bigger, right? So I got arrested in 2019, U.S. Marshals, 6 armed U.S. Marshals come to my house and arrested me for grand larceny, $40,000, and took me back to a different county where the charges were. Stayed in jail for a few weeks, got out, had to go to federal court, and obviously, by the time I got out and the time I had court, I was like searching on the internet like case law and stuff, so because my public defender wasn't helping me, I found what was called non-adjudication, kind of like first offenders in Georgia, right? It's where the judge gives me how much ever probation, as long as I complete it, the felony gets thrown away, all that, right? Man, I only had to report once a month. So, like, man, my very first probation appearance, I failed. Failed my drug test. I was like, man, I can do meth and Xanax and all this stuff and quit 5 days before I go to probation, and I'll be fine. That didn't work out very well. And then, so I had to go pick up trash off the side of the road for the first technical and all that. 6 months later, I get arrested again. And some of y'all know this story. Like, I got arrested in a Captain America outfit at 3:30 in the morning. No, it was not Halloween. It was like freaking September. But, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter. So, like, the story behind that is, I woke up in the middle of the night. My girlfriend was gone. My car was gone, all this stuff. And like, her brother, he, like, peeked his head and he was like, Hobbs, you up? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, should I get up and get higher? When I go back to sleep, when I wake up, she'll be here. He was like, no, come on, let's get up. So I was like, so we did a bunch of drugs. I took Xanax, meth, some Suboxone. It was like a whole combination of stuff. I started roaming around the house. And I've been house sitting at this house for like 2 years. Never in my life, and I've been all the way through it. Like, anybody that's done meth before, you're going to go through everything. Like, I've never seen this box. Like, I've been through the attic. I've never seen this box. It's like a big old cardboard box. It had a full-grown, like, costume. And I'm like, man, I'm putting it on. I was like, I got some other costumes in the closet. Like, go pick out one of those. We're going to walk in. We finna go find your sister. And I should have saw the way he was looking at me, because he was like, you know what I'm saying? And I go outside, and he never comes out. And then the neighbor, you know what I'm saying, like, his alley, and I'm just, like, pacing back and forth, like, wondering where my girlfriend is and stuff. And, like, I guess all he saw was ears and a mask, like, just pacing like this. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he comes around the house at the alley. He's standing there at the end of the alley with a gun like this. I'm like, what's he doing outside with a gun? I'm like, that's weird. You know what I mean? 3:30 in the morning. Like, it's not weird for me to be outside. That's normal. But I'm like, I'm like, maybe he needs help. So I walk up to him. And he's like, freeze, get on the ground. And his wife's like, did you get him, baby? She's like looking over the fence. It's like, I got him. Call the law. I was like, what do you mean you got him? And I'm like, whoa, whoa. And I hold my arms. And I was like, oh, shit. I forgot I was in the costume. You know what I'm saying? Like, I forgot I was in the damn costume. And, you know, they called the law. And he's a retired Marine and a corrections officer at the prison. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the chance? Dude works for the jail, and he's a retired Marine. Like, I don't know how many of y'all had a gun put on y'all before, but if you have, you know when somebody will shoot you and when they won't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just saw it in his eyes, like, went on and got on the ground, like, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, that is, you know, it's very funny, very comical. On the flip side of that, I'm sitting in jail, and I've been in jail, like, a bunch of times or whatever. There's, like, when they did give me a phone call, they was like, who you want to call? I'm like, I don't want to call anybody. I don't have anybody to call at this point, you know, because I already know I'm on probation. I'm violated. And my actual charge wasn't for, you know what I'm saying, like that's right. Look, so with this picture right here, when I'm sitting on the hard bench, I'm like, I'm not going to say everything y'all saying, but I was like, this bullshit. I was like, y'all violated my rights, because the cop was like, Hobbs, smile. And he took my picture, you know, and he posted it on Facebook. Like the police officer did, you know what I'm saying? And then like I said, we 13,000 population, like, you know, you could blink and drive around that town twice. That's how small it is. And like the local news picks it up. So like I sleep it off. Like I said, I was on benzos and meth and stuff. And when I wake up, somebody was like, what's up, Cap? I'm like, who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? I didn't tell nobody my story, you know what I'm saying? And then like I had to go talk to the investigator, so the guard comes in there and is like, hey, Captain, come on, you gotta go see the investigator. I'm like, why do they keep calling me Captain? And when I get back, when the other inmates called me, I was like, why do y'all keep calling me? I was like, oh, bro, you was on the news at 6 a.m. I was like, what? He was like, oh, don't worry, it'll be back on here in just a minute. It came back on at 12, and then at 5, I'm talking about like Fox News, local news, like it aired everywhere, like no joke, right? I was so mad, man. Like at first I was blaming my buddy for not coming outside. I was like, man, if I wouldn't have been waiting on him, I would have never got arrested, right? Or if my girlfriend wouldn't have left, I would have never been outside looking for her. I was blaming everybody but myself. So, and then when I did go to court, like a few days later, my mom had on a white T-shirt that said "Free Captain America" on it. They didn't let me out, but like, you know, my mom's always supported me, man. She's a rock star. She sacrificed so much for me, man. And then my probation officer came. He's like, what's going on with you? I was like, man, I told you I needed help. Like, you know, he's like, are you on drugs? I'm like, yeah, the first drug test I failed, you're supposed to be getting me into a rehab. This is your fault. You know what I'm saying? I was putting it off on him. And anyway, so I had to wait a couple weeks to go to my revocation hearing. Anybody's ever violated probation, y'all know what I'm talking about. And so like it's like a big courtroom, but nobody's in there except for me and a probation officer. By that time, somebody reached out to Trey, like, hey man, you guys see this shit on the news, you know what I'm saying? Hobbs is on there, you know, like I think we need to help him. So Trey said, hey man, get a hold of his mom. If he can get out of jail, like he'd come to rehab and you know, I'll take care of him. And this is before, you know, marketplace insurance and all this. The program had, I think, 23 people in it at the time. Like, I just want to tell y'all what kind of person Trey is. Like, he personally fit the bill for my treatment because I don't have any money, you know. So, like, at that point, like, you know, program could have made it or not made it at that point. Like, it wasn't a big program at all. So, like that man really does have a heart out for people. Like yes, I put in a lot of hard work, but without him and his heart out for the addict, I wouldn't be standing in front of you. I probably wouldn't be alive right now, you know? So I just shout out to Trey for that. So my mom told me that, so I went to my revocation hearing. Me and the probation officer is sitting there waiting on the judge. I'm like, hey man, my buddy opened up a rehab in Georgia, and you know, I think I need treatment. He was like, yeah, you do need treatment. I'm like, okay, so we're good. Like we're on the same page. We're going to advocate for going to Georgia, you know. And we go in there, and the judge was like, well, Mr. Hobbs, what do you think we should do with you? I'm like, well, obviously, I was like, I've been, addicted to opiates and meth and all this stuff for a long time. I thought I was holding my head up above water. Obviously, I wasn't. He interrupted me. He was like, is this the Captain America dude? I was like, obviously, I wasn't holding my head above water. I was drowning. But now I was like, but if you will lower my bond, let me out of jail, let me off of felony probation, let me move 2 states away, I promise you would never see me again. And he asked the head of probation, he was like, what do you think we should do with Mr. Hobbs? He was like, I think we need to send him to Parchment to the A&D program. I was like, what? I was like, what? So Parchment is a Mississippi State prison, right? It's awful. The A&D program is you're locked up with everybody else, and all you do is watch a 1-hour video once a day. That is not an alcohol and drug program, just so y'all know. And he was like, well, we're not going to do that. He was like, Mr. Hobbs, he was like, I'm going to lower your bond. I'm going to let you off probation. He said, but when you do get out of jail, the day you get out, you have to leave Mississippi that day. If you don't, we'll be back over here doing this thing all over again. And the probation officer's still back. He was like, oh, no, we can't let him off probation. If we do, we got to switch his probation to Georgia. He was like, yes, we are. He was like, well, you're the judge. He was like, I am the judge. You stay back after they leave. So, I don't know what happened to him, but thanks to that judge. So much stuff had to happen for me to be able to get to treatment, right? If I wouldn't have been put on the news, I'd never made it to treatment. Wasn't for Trey, if it wasn't for the judge, if it wasn't for my mom, my mom should have gave up on my butt a long time ago, It's not like I was the greatest son or I talked to her the best way, because how many times in addiction do we treat the people that love us like crap, right? Or how often do we come to treatment and we're still so entitled and we call up, well, I need money for cigarettes, I need a vape, man, come on, we got to give the people we love some slack. They're the ones we hurt, not ourselves, And I just want to talk about sacrifice, man. We sacrifice so much time, so many relationships, so many burned opportunities in addiction, right? And we do all that willingly. It ain't even hard, right? We just do it. But what are you willing to sacrifice for your life in sobriety? With the possibility of what you can have on the flip side of that, right? I have a lot right now. I sacrificed a lot to get it, happily sacrificed, right? I was in treatment for 9 months, right? I don't have family in Georgia, none. I stayed here 9 months before I went home for 36 hours on a bus to see my mom, and I never went back to Mississippi, to move. This is my home. And I just, so many times we can make up our minds about, what, I'm doing this. And I've tried to talk people out of leaving or whatever. And they're like, nope, my mind's made up. Well, tell you a story. I was about 6 months in. Me and this other house manager got into it. We were both on staff. We, cussed each other out. And then somebody gave me a car. But I also didn't have a license for 22 years. Just so y'all know, I didn't have a driver's license for 22 years, right? And somebody gave me a car, and I still didn't have a license. And I didn't want to ask the other house manager to take me to Walmart. So I was like, you know what? I live at Park. I'll just drive around the block to Walmart. It'll be fine. Somebody saw me at Walmart. I was like, he called Trey, hey, I seen Hobbs at Walmart. He's in his car by himself. I then got back to the department. Trey called. He was like, hey, bro, are you driving your car? I was like, and I take pride. In fact, I don't think I technically never straight up lied to him. I was like, no, I'm at my apartment. He was like, no. Have you been driving your car? I was like, yeah, I have. He just lit into me, right? Granted, he should have. But the point of what he was saying was, he was like, how can you walk out and lead these guys in integrity if you're not doing it yourself, right? The point of that is, at first, I'm like, man, all I did was went to Walmart to get some groceries. But it was illegal. Didn't have a license. I was breaking the law, and I was trying to hide it, right? And then so I was like, but I was pissed off about the house manager. I got lit up. I was like, man, if one more thing happens, that's it. I'm out. Y'all remember that stimulus check, right? I just got that stimulus check, had like $3,000 in my pocket. Somebody just gave me a call. I'm like, man, one more thing happens, I'm gone. Well, one more thing happened. You know how the Lord works. She's like, if the sun shines today, I think I'm gonna go get a bag of dope. Well, then the sun comes out. You know what I'm saying? So one more thing happened, and then I'm waiting on all the guys to go group. I'm like, all right, love y'all. They're like, why is he acting weird? As soon as they left, packed up all my stuff, went and got my car. Y'all know how they had that gate at Park or whatever? I don't know, it was weird. I'm thinking like they're going to lock the gate or something. So I waited till I got outside the gate before I sent the message. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And I sent the message and I cut my phone off. I sent Trey this long message of gratitude and stuff, telling him I was leaving, and cut my phone off. Man, I done made it to like Birmingham. It's been like 3 hours. And my radio only worked by Bluetooth. I'm like, man, I want to listen to some music. I'm talking about like as soon as I turned my phone on, as soon as it powered up, Trey Lewis. And like I literally, this is what happened. I looked at my phone and I said, I ain't answering that shit. And I answered it. You know, maybe I'm a little bipolar, I don't know. So Trey's like, he's going off on me, talking to me. He's like, why aren't you saying anything? I'm like, argue, say something. I'm like, well, you're not wrong. You know what I'm saying? He was like, bro, just turn around and come back. Take the next exit and come back. Like, so just so y'all know, I've already got my job back. I had an apartment, farmhouse waiting on me. I had a car, and I had $3,000 in my pocket. And I was 3 hours away in another state. I was in the middle of a bad decision. I had my mind made up. Yeah, I was 6 months clean, but I probably wouldn't have stayed another 30 days clean if I'd have went back to where I used to be, right? In the middle of that, I still changed my mind, took the next exit, turned around and came back. So the point of that is, it doesn't matter if you got your mind made up or not, you can still make the decision not to go do that thing, right? Like you could have the dope boy on the way, done snuck out your apartment, waiting on him by the gate that I'm talking about that lies, right? You could be waiting on him by the gate. He could just be about to pull up. You can still change your mind, turn around, and go back into your apartment. It ain't ever too late, man. So like I said, I've been on the news. CBS came and did a redemption story on me. Me and Trey, it aired on the news, just telling the life, how I changed. So, man, basically, man, I just want to tell you guys, like, I came from nothing. Like, when I got here, I was homeless. I had a suitcase full of dirty clothes and a half a cigarette to my name. And now I'm able to send money home to my mom. I'm married, have a nice truck, bought a motorcycle. And it's not about material things, but like, I don't know, man, if I can leave y'all with anything, man, is just how much are you willing to sacrifice for this new way of life? What do you want out of life? Do you want to live a good life? If you're single, do you want a wife? Do you want a house? Do you want nice things? Do you want to be living for the Lord? Like, where do you want to be when you die? You know what I mean? If you're breathing, it ain't never too late to change. I don't care how many times, how many behavioral contracts you got, how many times you relapse. None of that matters. What matters is from what you do from this point forward. So that's all I got. I love y'all.
Isn't that awesome, man?
Man, love your story, man.
Love you, dude. Hey, that was awesome. Give it up one more again for Hobbs. Really, I got to see that unfold, and I was, when we were a smaller program, I had the privilege to do the inbound calls and all that stuff, and I just, I knew every single person, drug of choice, knew their family, talked to them and all that, and then as it got larger, just my role changed, but I got to watch that play out. I watched him, you saw the pictures that were up here. I mean, it's really amazing, like what God can do is he mentioned Fox News. That picture went global viral. I'm talking Tokyo picked it up, Miami Herald, New York Post, ESPN. Like it wasn't like, it went everywhere in a matter of seconds. And Hobbs could have probably gone back and pursued, civil action. Could have sued the police department and possibly the officer or whatever, but chose not to. And but it's interesting to me. It's just because when he came over here, he looked like what you would think of somebody that went 30 years of uninterrupted drug use. He had never been to treatment before, and the only reprieves that he ever had was whenever he went to jail, and he's probably doing dope in jail too. And so for him to come over here, and it was really interesting to me because I knew him. It's just always different. Like whenever you knew the guy. And I remember, who he was back in Clarksdale. And he got over here, and I mean, and then for God to redeem it, and then for him to now look like a real life Captain America. I mean, Hobbs is known for physical fitness now, and known for, his work in the gym. And I want y'all just to kind of like fully grasp that, and then one other thing that just struck me, we went back to our hometown, and I just watched him interact with somebody there, and I was just sitting there watching the transformation and watching how much that his life had elevated. So I know that some of you are right now, and you know what it's like, right? I mean, like, we all want respect. You all want to walk in somewhere, and most of you can probably think of something in your life where at one time that whether you had a really good high school experience, or you had friends or certain social networks that you were connected to, and then drugs steal that. If you're anything like that, like I remember when friends of mine from school would see me out in public, and I could tell that they were embarrassed to have to, just to even have to acknowledge me. When I was strung out on meth, or they'd see me at some bar or whatever it was, and you could tell that the drugs, now we might try to hide behind ego and we're this and we're that, but we know that drugs had taken our self-respect, and it destroyed a lot of relationships and things like that, right? And I just watched the respect that he commanded without, just that was given to him because of the choices that he's made and what he allowed God to do in his life. And Hobbs will be the first one to tell you that he's not perfect, not now. He wasn't perfect then. And so I just want you to know, because a lot of y'all are looking for that, and sometimes you might not even be able to see it because it seems like it's happening so slow, right? I mean, it's like when you're in the gym, and you're in the mirror every day, and you can't even tell that you've changed, and then somebody that hasn't seen you in a while, it's like, dang, man, you've been putting in some work. So I'm just telling you, man, if you will trust this process and stay with it, the things that you're looking for in life and getting your respect back and just being somebody that you're proud of. And right now, I mean, you might go back, you might not even be invited to one of your family members' homes right now. And if you give it a little bit of time, I promise you, they'll be reaching out to you in 6 months, asking about your spirituality, asking about, hey, I got a family member that's getting high right now. Can you come talk to them? And you're sitting here thinking like, or some church, a church invites you to come up and share your story or whatever it might be. And you're just like, dude, how in the world, is anybody about to give me a microphone and turn me loose? But it just, a lot of these things that are just going to blow your mind and bring so much significance. And what you've got to do is not give up, and then also realize how important the day-to-day is. Like Hobbs said, I mean, you might even have something in motion already for this weekend that's going to put you in a compromising place. Don't do that, man. I mean, I'm just telling you, operate in the black and white right now. It's not a time to operate in the gray or put yourself in some position that could potentially, the barbecue where they're going to have, a cooler full of beer or whatever it might be, and you're thinking, I'll be good, but you don't understand, man. When you're right now, the way you have to see yourself is like you're in an ER right now, and you have a very faint heartbeat, and it could go either way. Like, that's how delicate this situation is right now. And really what I was going to talk about tonight, and I certainly don't have time to like run y'all through a message, and Hobbs absolutely crushed it, and there's really not a whole lot, but I will say this, is that there is a verse out of Galatians 5, and it says, walk in the Spirit, and therefore you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh, right? And it's talking about walk in the Spirit of God, and that's spiritual language. But what's interesting to me, and I don't want to dumb this down too much, but alcohol and drugs are spirits, right? I mean, you'll literally see it, right? Spirits and wine sold here. Okay, and the one thing that I know, whenever I was getting high, there were things that would be a buzzkill, okay, that would ruin my high. Usually they're in a blue uniform. We've probably got some officers in here right now. If I was high in this room and I came into contact, it would have a downing effect on whatever I was trying to accomplish, right? Cops would ruin that. Sober people would ruin that. Anybody, what I'm saying, a nagging girlfriend, whatever it might be that could literally ruin and kill, and you spend all this money and you want to get high, right? And then you think about, some of y'all that went into the psychedelics and went into the, the rave scene or whatever, whatever it was, and you go in and the lights are going to enhance that psychedelic, right? And the glow sticks, and some of you go falls with the Vicks Vapor Rub and blowing that in your face and all the stuff that came with the Molly or whatever. And you did all of that to enhance this experience, right? And so in the same way, right, like I know, like if I'm doing meth and I'm, doing all my normal weird stuff, I don't want somebody around to tell me that the cops really aren't out there, because I know that they're out there and I'm going to look at them, and I don't want you telling me that they're not, because I know that they are, right? And anybody that would ruin that, I don't want them around, because it's going to mess up my high. Does that make sense? So we get it. So why not take, I know, I don't want to dumb down a spiritual lesson to, to like discredit it by doing, a comparison to drugs, but we understand drugs, right? We understand that lifestyle. So I know, because that's a spirit too, and if I want to walk in the spirit of addiction, I know the environment that I want around me to enhance that experience. I want other people that are getting high. I want other people that are up to no good. I don't want somebody sitting in the car with me while I'm doing math and they're talking about scripture. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to listen to 91.5 or 104.7 or whatever other Christian radio station or Kirk Franklin's praise station. I ain't listening to that while I'm getting high. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. So in the same way, we can then take that experience and say, if I'm now going to walk in the Spirit, then what type of environment do I need to create to make sure that I enhance this walk with God? And it's the same way. I mean, you want to talk about a buzzkill, and you're sitting here right now, and I know that some of y'all are sitting in here right now, and you heard Hobbs' story, and you're hearing me talk right now, and you heard the worship, and you're thinking, man, I want something different for my life. Man, how awesome would it be if I was at some church and I was telling my story and some mom is weeping, crying, and she believes for the first time that there's hope for her daughter. There's hope for her son. And that's what you're going to be used to do if, when you leave here, that you create the environment that doesn't oppose what we're talking about. Right? If you leave here and go back out there and play that same trap that you were listening to whenever before you came in here, then it is going to kill what's happening in here. If you go back and start processing with the local dope boy from your hometown to see what's going on, that's going to kill what is going on here. Or you get in the car and just start complaining and this and that and this sucks and that sucks and everything sucks and I don't understand. Or you go back tonight and tell all your old, do you see what I'm saying? I mean, the small choices that you make, they actually matter. Nobody is going to go, this room right here, the second that we leave, it's going to turn back into a 24/7 house of prayer, okay? And what's going to happen is somebody's going to come in here, and from right now until it's been going on for 20 years, nonstop prayer and adoration to the Lord, okay? This thing's going to turn back into a prayer room. Nobody would go out and buy a bag of dope and come back in here, you know what I'm saying, and want to sit in some type of environment like this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in theory, right? So you understand that. You understand the simplicity of that example. And so therefore, if you want the other thing, and and some of y'all, man, if somebody leaves here and relapses, and the mom calls us back or the dad calls us back, man, what happened? You think it was the trauma from when they were, you think it was, yeah, maybe, Karen, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But here's the truth, okay? We told Timmy 4 million times that if you run this play and you stay in this environment, then Timmy's not going to get high, right? So if you have a craving and you go put yourself back in the atmosphere, you know what I'm saying, to go and get high and give yourself the opportunity, it's just a matter of time before you fall off. I mean, it's just that simple. And this doesn't change, man. I got over 12 years clean, all right? It wouldn't take me but a few days hanging around. I appreciate that. But what I'm trying to tell you is I've got a lot of clean time and a lot of momentum, and I actually own a drug treatment center. And I am telling you, if I go back and I get in that environment, it's not going to take long. It wouldn't take but a few days where I'm just like, dude, maybe I can get high. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe that is a better way of life, or whatever it might be. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? I look at some of these people over here, and I can tell there's some family members in here, and they probably don't have a bend to want to go and do the things that I do. I don't know what their stuff is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. But I know what my stuff is, and my stuff ends my butt up on the front page, okay? And I cannot go put myself in that environment. So whenever you do leave here and you're starting to feel this hope and you're starting to feel God start to speak to you and bring you back up again, understand Hobbs, I don't want y'all to gloss over this. I'm talking 9 months that he did not go back and visit any family. Stayed here through Christmas, had some girlfriend, back in Clarksdale at the time. And all those things pulling on you, I'm just going to pop back in for a few days. And I'm not telling you that you need to give up 9 months away from anything that you love, but I am saying it's a mentality of whatever it takes is exactly what it takes. That's the mentality. You can convince me, hey, Trey, it's cool for me to go do whatever. It's to thine own self be true. You can sell me on whatever, but you're not tricking me. I'm going to be here whether you go get high or you don't get high. People are going to be getting changed whether you do or not, but you have to be true to you, okay? You might have a mom that you can manipulate. You might have a spouse you can manipulate. You might have a house manager that you can manipulate, but at some point, you're going to have to be the one that levels up to say, hey, this is the standard. I know me. I don't care what they can do. There's people out there. It's like working out, right? Like, I know what I like to do and work out, okay? And for my whole life, somebody's like, well, you don't come over here and try CrossFit. You ought to come over here and try Orange Theory or whatever it is. And every time I go and do that, it screws up because I know what I respond to. Does that make sense? All right, and so if you keep going over there and they're like, oh, it's okay for us to go to the bar. We're not going to drink at the bar. But you know that if you walk in that bar, you are probably going to get drunk. Then that's fine, whatever those people are going to do that. I know me, and this is the line that I'm going to hold, and that's going to be my tribe, and those are going to be the people that I run with, right? There's some people, and as it is in work, you know what I'm saying? You look over there are people that try to work for me that are like, this is my work-life family balance. At 6 o'clock, I turn my phone off, and I go and I hang out with my children. Do not stay away from me, okay? That's not how we work. That's fine. I have a lot of respect for people that work like that. That is not how we do it. Does that make sense? And if you try to be like that, then you're not going to do well in this work environment. Our phones never cut off. I don't get to schedule fentanyl overdoses between 1 and 3 o'clock on Thursdays. It's 3 a.m. One of y'all come off a run at 3 a.m. and you're ready to get help, then we're ready at 3 a.m. You don't come back in on Thursday at 4 and come in then. So you got to figure out, you're going to find your recovery tribe, your Jesus tribe. You're going to find, how you're going to do this thing. And if you're wired anything like me, when we do it, we go all the way. And people balance this, balance that. Yeah, I get some of that stuff, but that's not what changes the world. Okay, that's not what that type of that's not who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like you are made to be radical. You're made to be filled, and you went and did it with the wrong thing, and now you have the opportunity to do it with the right thing. And who knows when somebody what you have to realize is how much damage that you caused for the enemy. Like if the Spirit of God gets a hold of you, how much more are you going to do for him? How much more good? How much, right? Like I got the same gift mix. If I'm getting high, guess what? You see like this out here and you see Good Landing? When I'm getting high, that's what it's going to look like because I'm going to get a whole lot of other people high, right? And a lot of y'all are wired the exact same way. And if I'm doing good, things like Good Landing happen. If I'm following God, what I want you to understand is realize how much dirt that you did. Think about the crime that was committed in this room. You know what I'm saying? That we didn't get caught for, okay? Bro, there are some serious felonies. I mean, most of us didn't even, I mean, most of us were carrying 3 to 5 years in our pocket every time that we walked out the door, you know? And so now understand that on this side of it, and what this now is the possibility of what God is able to do with your life on this side of it. You have to realize, man, if you were able to do that much in the darkness, like what's he going to be able to do when you finally get in line with what you were actually created to do? That's what you got to hold on to. That's what you have to just, you know, and I've seen some of y'all in action. You know what I'm saying? I've seen P2 lit up. You know what I'm saying? I've seen Sal. I've seen these guys like, and just the impact that is possible, you know, it just, you know, locking in to this thing. I mean, think about Hobbs, dude. I mean, Hobbs is from nowhere, Mississippi. You know, I'm talking, gets thrown all over the world. CBS, I mean, I'm telling you right now, if I called CBS and try to sell them on all the different stories, I'll pay them $100,000 that they'll come down here. I couldn't get those jokers to come down here and run an ad, do one thing on Good Landing. And those jokers found Hobbs and sent their crew down here and then put Hobbs and Good Landing over the holes to millions of people on a Friday night. Like, that's, you see what I'm saying? Like that's the type of like thing that you're entering into on the possibilities of what God is going to be able to do with your life. You can't, you can't, you know what I'm saying? You might pay some local magazine to throw you up on a cover, but you know, I mean, those types of things like that, like you can't manipulate that stuff. So I want y'all to have a vision for that. You know, this whole idea of why some people get hung up on this addict thing. You know, like, yeah, am I an addict? Yeah, for sure. I'm not confused that if I go back and put dope in this body, what's going to happen, right? But I identify more with my future and the plans that God has for me, and that's what I want you to get attached to. That's what's going to be the thing that keeps you pumped every day. That's what's going to keep you, you know, fired up. Not that I'm this second class, you know, drug addict, you know, whatever it might be. Don't be confused, you know what I'm saying, that yes, you're a new creation, but if you go put, you know, alcohol or dope back in this body, you're going to be a monster. Do not get confused about what's going to happen if you go and make that mistake. But what I want you attached to is that now you become a prisoner of hope. That now that you become somebody that is just fixated and fascinated with Jesus and what he's able to do with your life and all of your mistakes. Dude, all those moments that we spend in trap houses that everybody's like, you're wasting your life. Yeah, we were wasting our life. But now we have a skill set to be able to go and do stuff and be comfortable in places that other people won't go. I mean, I'm as comfortable talking to some freaking dope boys down there at the yellow store over there off North Avenue behind Georgia Tech as I am riding first class or sitting on a tennis court or talking to somebody that just got off their stinking private jet that's coming in here for treatment. Do you understand that? That's a skill set for you to be able to go and help somebody else once God gets a hold of your life, and he'll redeem all this stuff. He'll redeem all those wasted years as long as we allow him to do it. Worship team still in the house? We got one? I need the worship team coming up here. I like to make me sound all spiritual. It's crazy, man. Put a little music behind you talking. It's just like, just go to the... But see, so I want to open up the altars as we do every time. I've already seen a lot of people that have been up here at the altars. But it's important, I believe, that you know, there's nothing, you know, more special about this wood than, you know, whatever the fabric that your chair is made out of, but just the act of stepping up and coming forward, and then this just surrendering and just saying like, God, like I need you. You know, it's just, and for a lot of us that have been trying to play it so cool for so long, it's always been about image, it's always been about whatever. You know, for some of you, it's that act of humility of just saying, God, I don't care what anybody else thinks. It's just that act of surrender, of just walking forward and a point of faith and a point of obedience. That's why we open this altar again is a service for you to be able to come. And if you're comfortable with that, these altars are open now. You can come pray for whatever you need to pray for. So, Father, we love you. God, I thank you so much for tonight. I thank you for the tremendous work that you did in Hobbs' life. And I just ask that you would duplicate it again, that you would do it again and again and again. And I pray for the ones that are out here suffering tonight, God, that are just struggling with shame and just thinking like, man, like how did I get back here? That you would meet them, that you would just put your healing power, your salve, just on those wounds and just remind them that they are not too far gone, that the plans for them have not changed. And I just pray, Lord, that you would fill us with hope, God, that you would fill us with grace. God, we want to live for you. We want to love you. We want to be the men and women that you've called us to be, Jesus. And we can't do that apart from you. And we need you, God. So give us grace to walk this out. I just thank you so much, Lord, for this incredible privilege, Lord, to be able to serve these people and their families. And I pray, God, that you would bless them and that you would keep them and that you would make your face to shine upon them in Jesus' name, God. And you would bless Good Landing. We need you so much right now. We love you. Amen. All right. I love y'all. All right. Y'all have a good one. Let's go. Love you too, man. Yes, sir. Let's go, man. Let's go. Okay. All right, man. We out.